What's one of the number one things you can do in B2B prospecting? Cold email. Whenever you're doing prospecting for B2B applications, even some B2C, depending on the niche and industry, cold email is an excellent resource and tool to generate leads and prospects. However, today we're going to talk about the cold email guidelines and what you should do effectively and have in place. That way, as you're running cold email operations, you're not getting your accounts and things shut down. Now, we are going to be looking at this from the perspective of the Prospecting Academy system that we have at Conversionly. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So as you can see here, we have the cold email guidelines. So these are essentially the recommended practices and processes that you want to have into place so you are getting the highest deliverability rate, open rates, opt-in rates, etc. So if you already have aged email accounts and you're at a great start, however, if you don't, we highly recommend you get some email accounts set up, let them age a little bit before you start cold emailing at bulk capacity. Okay, so if you ever check an email and it goes to spam, the first thing you want to do is just let that email hang out. Okay, don't send any more emails from it. Just let it sit out for about 2 weeks before you start slowly ramping it back up. If you try to send out dozens of emails right as soon as you create an email account, then its probability is you're going to end up getting that email blacklisted or spammed, and it's going to be irreversible. So there definitely is setup processes you want to put into place in warm-up phasing that you want to go through whenever you're running your cold email operations. Okay, so let's talk about the setup phase. As we can see here, buy a cold email domain from Google Domains. Google is the leader when it comes to running email. If you look at pretty much 90% of the world's emails, they're coming from a Gmail account. Okay, that is a made up statistic, but I'm certain it's fairly high. Okay, so Google is one of the number one platforms for email. So the best place to do is go with the company that has the highest security protocols and run with them for your cold email domain and your G Suite account. For example, when you set this up, you want to keep it relatively close to your business name. As you can see here, some of our cold email domains, our company is conversionly.io. So we set up cold email domains that are relatively close to that. conversionlyio.com, conversionly.co, conversionly.net, conversionlyio.net. This is so we maintain consistency with our brand and it looks natural from a recipient's perspective. Okay. Next, you want to ensure that you are following the DNS security protocols for your email. Whenever you send emails, they have email headers. Now, this is not something that you necessarily need to know, but you should understand what's going on in the background. When you send an email out to somebody, just like communication across servers, there are what's called headers. And this is information that's passed from server to server, API to API, etc. And that's just communicating information based on who the sender is, what information is being passed, and how secure that connection is. So you have 3 main areas that you want to include in your email domain, set up under your DNS records. That way you pass all the security protocol checkpoints. Okay, the first one is an SPF record. If you bought a Google domain and you set up a G Suite account, that's automatically included. Google goes ahead and installs that for you. That makes sure that you are covering base 1. Okay, next, you want to make sure you have a DKIM record. DKIM records are essentially domain key records that help identify that this is a secure domain. It's not a bought domain from an external resource or a rented domain. Shows that you have access and rights to use that. The last record you want to install is a DMARC record, okay? So that information, you should definitely research, get it included. That information will be down in the description of some SPF records and links to places that you can go to get that information, okay? So that covers our domain to make sure it's set up for security. This is essentially going to communicate to anybody's email servers. If you're sending an email to another business, that email server that their business is hosted on, when they receive that information, you will be seen as a secure resource to receive emails from and decrease the likelihood that your emails are going to go to spam. Now, moving on to the next point, get your accounts set up and let them sit for 2 to 4 weeks. One of the biggest red flags when it comes to email is somebody starts an email account and instantly starts prospecting. That is a red flag because email companies are able to recognize, hey, this is a practice that people go through whenever they're spamming or doing prospecting and they're not following CSPAM laws, okay? So I highly recommend when you buy your domain and you set up your email account. So domain would be like conversionlyio.com and the email account would be zach@conversionlyio.com. You want to let those sit for about 2 to 4 weeks at least. And while you're getting this set up, buy a few more domains and just have them sitting idle and aging, okay? That'll benefit you in the long run, especially if that domain falls under spam. You have other domains already aged that you can warm up faster, okay? Now let's go through the warm-up phase. So when you are warming up, we essentially follow a 78-day protocol, okay? That means that as we're sending emails, we're sending them in limited quantities over a period of days and slowly increasing that number. That way it looks organic. If you had a friend on Facebook, you get 1 friend day 1, 5 friends on day 2, and then next week you've got 10 friends. The week after that, you've got 40 friends. The week after that, you got 100. It looks organic. That's organic growth. The same thing is true with email, okay? If you get a sudden surge of 100 emails in one day, right when the email's created, that is a red flag for email companies, okay? So this is the schedule that we follow. This is down in the description so you can refer to it, but we essentially send 3 emails over 3 days, one by one. We do this all manually. Then 5 emails every 5 days. So day 1, 2, and 3, we're sending 3 emails per day, every day for 3 days straight, manually. Then for the next 5 days, we're sending 5 emails every day for the next 5 days, excluding Sundays. Then 10 emails every day for a week. Then 20 emails every day for a week. At this point, we start using our drip sequences to drip these out over time, okay? And then we slowly increase that from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, 75, 100, 150, 200, etc. And then scale that and ramp it up. That way we are consistently hitting 200, 300, 400 prospecting emails every single day. We'll get this done, and then we'll add more email accounts into this, or we'll get 5 or 6 of them going at a time so we can increase that quantity of numbers. Now, in getting this set up, you want to start looking at diagnosing or troubleshooting when things are going wrong. First and foremost, checking to make sure your domain and your email account are getting delivered to the inbox. There's 2 places you can go and check. Those links will be dropped in the description. That will help you identify if your email account is going to spam. The first here is MX Toolbox, okay? And if we do MX Toolbox, we could do Luckless Digital, this is my marketing agency, to look up our MX records and see how secure they are. Now, what this is doing is pulling where our MX records are, and then what are our policies and DNS records found. This is to make sure that you have a secure email account, okay? So this is the first place you want to check, make sure your records are installed properly and they are working properly. The next place you can test is going to mail-tester.com. And here, it'll give you an email on the homepage. It'll give you an email to test, and you could send an email from your email account with the message scripts that you want to test, and then it'll tell you what to include in that. We got a 6.2 here because we ran this test with our clients, and essentially we included some verbiage that was not essentially appropriate. And it came up and easily identifiable as spam. Essentially, we use Viagra. So you can see email systems are smart enough to pick up on that verbiage because it is commonly used in spam. So using a tool like Mail Tester will help you identify, is your script and email going to go to spam? What's the rank of it? So if you're getting issues with not getting numbers, open rates, response rates, etc. with your cold emails, these are 2 good things to test to make sure, 1, you have your records installed properly, and 2, make sure that you are not getting flagged or have anything that's identifiable as a flag that could potentially be sending your email account to spam. A general rule of thumb for cold email activity is essentially a 15% or higher open rate, a 1 to 3% response rate, and a 0.8 to 1% positive reply qualification and booking rate. That means essentially 1% of all leads you reach out to should become qualified leads that then end up on the calendar. So you send 1,000 emails, you get 10 appointments. All right, that is the objective. Those are kind of the numbers that you want to be around. If you're not hitting those numbers, then you can start troubleshooting a few things. For instance, if you're not getting 15% open rates, this is because of one of 2 main reasons. 1, your emails are going to spam, promotions, or junk folder. To check this, follow the email deliverability. We just showed you 2 tools that you can utilize. There's also a 3rd that will drop in the description down below where you can go and run an actual email test. You send an email and it'll tell you across 20, 30 different accounts where your email ended up in spam. Did it go to spam? Did it go to the promotions tab? Did it go to the junk folder, etc.? Run that test. If everything checks out, but you still have low open rates, well, that means you have a terrible subject line. It's not attractive enough for people to click on your email and open it. So test some different subject lines in batches of 100 emails and see which ones are performing better. We highly recommend split testing all the time to see what emails are going to get you the best results. This means copy content, links you use in your emails, the subject lines, etc. You have great open rates, but people just are not responding to you, okay? This is going to primarily be based on the content in your email. We always recommend long form copy. Long form copy is the best way to get people to respond to you because you're going to get people that are going to engage with it and relate with it. If you're trying to do a bait and switch offer in 2021 and beyond, that's not going to cut it because most people have seen it before. So give value, deliver something of substance, and people are going to be more likely to engage with that. Paired with that, make sure you identify the transformation that you are giving to people. What is your unique selling proposition? For instance, at Conversionly, our unique selling proposition or transformation is we help people book on average 42.11% more appointments with the current leads that they have. That is the transformation that we have. 42.11% more appointments on your calendar every single day. And that is going to transform businesses because the more appointments means the more sales. Make sure you are gearing that towards what your audience wants and make it hyper specific. If you can include their industry or different types of tags inside that email that are going to relate to your prospect, you're going to have much higher success rate at getting people to respond. Also, back up your claims, your transformation, etc., with social proof and authority proof. Case studies on results that you've gotten for your clients, getting authority posts if you've been featured on Forbes or entrepreneur.com or podcasts, things like that. You can always direct that traffic. This does one of two things. One, say somebody clicks on a case study link, but they don't respond, but they ended up on your website. Well, now you can have them pixeled and you can hit them with retargeting ads. We'll talk about that in another video once we release our advertising academy. However, this is a good way to keep all the prospects you're getting to, whether they respond or not, somehow inside your funnel. Lastly, test. The chances that you're going to write banger copy on your first shot, slim to none. This is a trial and error process. You should always be testing the copy that you're running and testing different ways to engage with your prospects via email, because you're not going to get it right on the first 1 to 1,000 attempts. It's going to take iterations. Okay, test different things, different ways you word items, scrape better leads, and see if you can add more tags. Always be testing, ABT, right? That's the way that you can always be closing. Okay, now moving on. If you're not getting the 0.8 to 1% booking rates from your emails, then everything is based around your audience and your offer, okay? Number one, the biggest thing is that recipient of your email does not trust that your service can deliver on the promise that you're making inside the copy that you're sending, okay? So if you have not established enough trust in your copy with case studies and social proof to back up your claim, they're not gonna trust you to be able to deliver on what you said. Or your market is saturated with the same offer that it's nothing new to them. Maybe they've worked with other marketing agencies that are promising them 50 leads a month, okay, or their money back. They've heard it before. So they don't trust that you're going to deliver it because they've paid for it before. And they obviously didn't get the value because they do not want that service anymore. So try testing your offer. Number two is talking about you being able to deliver on the promise. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe there's not enough artifacts about you on the internet when they did research that build enough trust in you being able to deliver on that, okay? The service component to relate that would be using Facebook ads as the mechanism to generate those leads. On the other hand, when it's correlated to you, it's trusting you to be able to use Facebook ads to deliver those leads. And then number three, your audience is not the right audience for whatever transformation or offer you're providing, okay? So if you're seeing these issues, it's gonna align in one of those three areas. The best thing you can do is go back to your copy and take a look at it. Put yourself in your prospect shoes and who you're emailing, okay? If you're cold emailing real estate agents for an ISA service, like we do, then you wanna take a step back and put yourself in that real estate agent shoes. In what case do they need an ISA? Well, they're generating a ton of leads from their marketing efforts, their networking efforts, etc., but they're not getting enough listings. And it really runs down to they don't have enough time in the day to work all those leads to their full potential. They know it needs to be done. They just don't do it. So we're going to give them back more of their time to follow up with their leads, give them more listings, more live transfers, and more appointments on their calendar. That is the transformation we're going to provide them. So we want to take our copy and outline the pain points that they have, the frustrations that we have, and then deliver the claim and transformation on how we're going to combat those for them and deliver the end result transformation that they want to receive from that. We're going to get you more appointments on your calendar, guaranteed, without you having to follow up with your leads anymore. Spend your time working prospects that you want to work. That is a claim and transformation that they need and want, okay? Then we have to back up that our ISA service can deliver that. So we're going to list out case studies of 5 different real estate agents or brokers or mortgage lenders that are closely related to that industry that we've delivered that performance on. Talk about how Tom over at AMBC Lending had 300 leads a month that he wasn't able to follow up with. He started using our ISA service and he converted 57% of those leads into appointments, and 29% of those leads got pre-approvals and ended up getting a home loan. Okay, and showing that with multiple prospects or multiple clients that you've been able to deliver that for will back up the service being able to do it and you being able to deliver on it, okay? And we already know that our audience needs that service. If they don't, they're probably not a good client for us, because that means they don't have enough leads or they don't have enough listings to afford working with us. So that is how you troubleshoot and break down your cold email campaigns to truly understand what's going on behind the scenes to make sure you are getting the best outcomes with your cold email prospecting activities. If you've been struggling to run a prospecting system and consistently getting 20, 30, 40, 50 appointments on your calendar for free every single week, then you need a prospecting system that works, that is proven, and is mostly automated or delegated. If that's something you're looking for, click the link down in the description and set up a time with our team over at Conversionly, where we help take everything from lead to close so you can scale your business like you deserve. That's all for today, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in. Again, this is Zach Williams at Conversionly. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.